Good afternoon, everybody. It's your girl, WHITT, and it's time for another WHITT session. What's a WHITT session? I'm so glad you asked. A WHITT session is a pop-up interview in a pop-up location with a surprise guest. Today, I am back in my home office here in downtown Hammond with my office mate, building mate, friend, longtime friend from middle and high school, and now fellow entrepreneur, LaTasha Norris from Onyx Fingerprinting and background checks. No, Onyx Fingerprinting and lab services. You do so much. Welcome back to a WHITT session, Tosh.
I'm happy to be back.
I'm happy to have you back for the simple fact that since we last had our sit down last month, first of all, shout out to all of your followers and friends who tuned in. I was like, your following is amazing. So we got the word out that you exist, and now we are committed to building on your brand, because people don't just wake up every day and think about, oh, I need to get fingerprinted, where do I go? Oh, I need to get drug tested or a background check, where do I go? And what that entails. And so you, in your infinite wisdom, took it upon yourself to go to a conference recently in Vegas, and I wanted to get back on camera and do a recap and find out some of the trends, what you learned. So what are some of the things that really stuck out to you, and did you still get a chance to go to a show or anything?
I didn't go to any shows. I put $1 or two in the slot machine, but Vegas is always a fun time. Like we talked before, I didn't grow up in this business. So when you grow up in businesses, you kind of know. You know what's going on. I didn't grow up in a business. So I think it's very important that I partake in, different things like the conferences, so that I can know.
Yeah, educate yourself
and
about
educate
the field.
myself, so that when I'm talking and speaking to people, know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
Some of the things that kind of stuck out to me were, and then I want to go for the trends.
Okay.
Because you don't want people to walk or to come to you and say, hey, did you hear about this new thing that's coming out?
You're like, no,
I didn't hear about
I didn't
that.
know anything about it.
So does that kind of diminish the trust or make them think,
she's not on top of her game?
Yeah, she's not on top of her game.
I feel the same way.
So that was one of the reasons why I went. And one of the things that stuck out to me when they were talking, because we always think of drug testing as somebody, you have used drugs, but we think of the abuse of drugs. But one of the things they brought home, especially with pre-employment, is the impairment.
Okay.
And how those drugs impair you to be able to be on a road driving a truck, to be in a warehouse driving a forklift.
Yeah.
So they're testing for the impairment, and can you perform that job?
Yeah.
While you are at work in a safe way that keeps everyone safe.
Yeah, I have friends who work in factories and firms where as soon as there's an accident or something, if you're in a vehicle, it's like, you got to go drug test them to determine whether they were impaired and what was in their system impaired them or caused the accident.
Correct.
Okay, so you were telling me off camera, and when we talked earlier, about some of the new ways that they're doing the drug testing. Okay, but let's break it back down to what we're used to. There's the swab, there's the hair.
Yeah, so you have 3 main different ways that they drug test. You can either do a hair test, you can do a mouth or oral swab, or you could do the urine test. Sometimes you go to people, and that was another enlightening thing for me with going to the conference. And some people will say, hair testing is bad, or they try to favor one over the other. And one thing that they kind of drove home to us a couple weeks ago was that it's not one being so much worse than the other. It's the appropriate time, and which one is appropriate for what the situation that's at hand.
Yeah. So if I understand it from what I've read and heard from you, the hair test gives you further back.
It goes back the furthest.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. And how far back does it go?
It goes back approximately about 6 months.
Wow, that's a
it
long
goes
time.
back far.
Okay.
Oral can give you immediate.
Okay.
Oral can give you something that happened as close as to 8 hours ago.
Okay. Okay.
And then urine goes back about let's say like 72 hours.
Okay.
So urine is kind of immediate too.
Okay.
But oral gives you the most recent.
Okay.
And then it's the most invasive.
Okay.
Because you don't.
Right, because it's easy. It's like a swab.
It's just like a swab.
Uh-huh.
You know, with urine, you know, it's like sometimes people that have an inconclusive test, or they have to come back and they have to be observed. You know, that's an uneasy feeling.
And the waiting for the results. It's like, even if you haven't done anything, it's like waiting for the results to be like, what if somebody makes a mistake? Because again, this is all administered by humans.
Right.
And I've had that happen to me, like maybe it was like 8 or 9 years ago. It was like they had to do it again because it was inconclusive. So I was like, inconclusive? Why? I haven't done anything.
But you know, and I tell people sometimes a lot of things can make it inconclusive.
Okay.
So it's a term called shy bladder.
Okay.
Which when I got into the business, I was like, shy bladder.
Shy bladder, like a bladder from Chicago.
Right.
I don't know.
Right, shy. But people get nervous.
Yeah.
So then they can't go.
Oh, well, you're shy.
You're shy,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so we try to fill their bladder up to make them have to use the restroom. But you can't overhydrate, because if you overhydrate and you drink too much water,
it dilutes what you're looking for.
Right. So that's
I get it.
Right.
Shy
so
bladder.
That's an inconclusive test.
Okay.
So I tell people when they drink too much, I try to inform them when they're waiting, don't drink too much because you don't want to overhydrate.
Okay.
But they just want to go and they do it anyway.
Okay.
And then when you get the specimen, it's clear like
Okay.
water.
Like
so
water.
I tell them, don't be surprised if they have you to come back because you were overhydrated.
Okay.
So inconclusive, like those are the type of things that I was able to learn and to go to so that I could know how to speak to people when I'm talking to them.
Can I stop and just say I'm proud of you?
Thank you so
You say
much.
you haven't grown up in the business, but you're certainly sounding like it. Everybody, you're watching a CWHITT session. I'm Chelsea Whittington. I am here at 5233 Holman Avenue in downtown Hammond, Indiana, with LaTasha Norris of Onyx Fingerprinting and Lab Services. She's fresh off a plane, well, a couple of weeks from Vegas, and just giving us a recap on some of the things that she learned. Now, tell me about the cannabis tracker thingy.
Yeah, so just like they have breathalyzer machines for alcohol. Well, what's coming down the pipeline and coming quickly is a cannabis analyzer.
Ooh,
so
y'all.
you'll be able to blow to detect THC in your system, and you'll blow, and it's a whole machine that companies are, because again, it's the impairment. They want to know that you're not coming in impaired where you can't do your job.
Yeah, and so I'm wondering if that will filter over into law enforcement,
and so
where they may because they do the breathalyzer for alcohol,
and they could do it for THC, and they did have a company there that uses sweat patches.
Oh my goodness,
that are done by the courts.
There's some people watching that's sweating right now.
Right.
But you can learn more by following Tasha on Onyx Fingerprinting. I'm just chuckling because I know somebody's watching this like, say what?
Yeah,
what
it's
is
a
that?
sweat patch.
Yeah, but these are the things that keep us safe as far as those who are operating vehicles. And I don't want a truck driver driving on the highway next to me. But here's my dilemma, Tosh, because we are living in a time now where in certain spaces and states and areas and laws that marijuana is legal.
And that is
so
the
it's
thing.
like, how do you... Well, I'm not asking you as Senator Tasha. How do you draw the line, though? Because it's like they're saying, but it was recreational and it was this weekend and then I'm going back to work, but now they want me to get tested. Do you find that
safety?
Okay.
So the main thing is safety.
Okay.
And I have, a lot of people that will question, well, we're in Illinois and marijuana is legal. It is legal state, but it's not legal federal.
Gotcha.
So it's not federally legal.
Okay.
And
if your employer is requiring it,
you have right.
Okay.
And there's a lot of wiggle room and different things that are taking place to go on because it is legal in states. But as far as the Department of Transportation, like when you're driving trucks and those type things, it's just a no.
It's a no, everybody.
It's a no.
I'm telling you, talk to LaTasha Norris for your information about these, but more so, I want you to use her services. And today we have really been emphasizing the drug testing and the different ways to get tested. But you offer a variety of services I definitely want to recap before we get out of here. Talk about your fingerprinting, because we have casinos in this area.
Yes.
And I know from working at 2 of them in my past that I did have to get fingerprinted. And who better to go and get your fingerprinting done than from this young lady right here? So what do you offer, Tosh?
So I offer, of course, we've already talked about drug testing. I offer digital fingerprinting. You can be fingerprinted. Well, I offer 2 services in fingerprinting.
Okay.
You can be fingerprinted digitally, which the live scan machine captures your fingerprints, and we print those out on the standard FD 258 card.
Okay.
Or either we can submit those prints electronically.
Okay, she fancy, y'all.
Life happens. Last week the internet went out.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, and I had customers coming through the door. So I just went back to the old ink, rolling ink. Rolling ink. Yes. Okay. So I do those as well, because some people will specifically say we don't want digital fingerprints. We want the regular rolling ink. And so I do offer both of those services.
Okay.
And I can submit to the FBI electronically.
Ooh. You know what makes me think about fingerprinting now is like identity theft. Yes. There's so much identity theft going on, and like I was recently hacked on social media, and so I feel like fingerprinting has become even more important as far as another way of just verifying who we are.
Yeah.
Even when you're signing into apps, you see that where they give you the option
to do the biometrics.
Yeah. So you are definitely in a field that is relevant, that is needed, so that, I mean, that's about all we have left when you say what's unique, because they're still in passwords, they hack your phones, they hack your email. It's like, this is what we have left, and we can get it right here with you.
Right here with me.
5233 Holman Avenue in Hammond, Indiana. I want to warn you guys, right now, we are at experiencing a lot of development and construction in downtown Hammond. But don't fear, we are here, and I know that when that construction is done, the area in front of our building is going to be amazing.
Yes.
But make the turns, follow the signs to get to 5233 Holman Avenue. What are your hours, Tosh?
My hours are Monday through Friday from 9 until 4. I take walk-ins because, with life, people getting stuck with an appointment. It's like, oh man, I missed my appointment. I take walk-ins. No service lasts longer than 20 minutes.
Okay.
So you're in and out.
Okay.
And I take the last walk-in at 4 o'clock.
Okay. What is your website address so they can go on?
My website is onyxfingerprinting.com. You can go on the website. You can follow me at Onyx Fingerprinting on Facebook. And I'm Onyx Inc. on Instagram.
Okay, and aren't you on LinkedIn?
I am on LinkedIn.
Okay, that's what I thought,
yes,
because I want our human resources professionals to pay close attention to your services, because a lot of times when they're doing onboarding for new employees, they may have been using another vendor. That vendor's not available, or they need a better vendor, Exhibit A.
Yes.
They can reach out to you directly to start sending their employees to you. The next time we get together next month, we're going to talk about those screenings for
the background checks.
The background checks. You
Yes.
all know about your background checks and what can show up and what you need to clean up. You have been watching. See, I just love you, Tosh. You've been watching a CWHITT session. My name is Chelsea Whittington. A CWHITT session is a pop-up interview in a pop-up location with a surprise guest. But LaTasha Norris is no surprise. She is a staple now with the CWHITT family of clients. I ask that you give her your unwavering support. Get your fingerprinting done here, your drug screenings, your background checks. You won't forget it. You won't regret it. She is professional, enthusiastic, and has an amazing personality to boot. Any last words,
I try so much. I just would again say, for any of your background checks, drug screening, fingerprinting services that you need, to just reach out to me. I get things done professional on time, and in a warm atmosphere.
I agree. And if you need her to travel, to come and drop off information, meet with your team, she will do that as well. And if you forget what we've shared, inbox me. I will connect you to LaTasha Norris, Onyx Fingerprinting and Lab Services. Everybody have an amazing day. Enjoy this weather and don't get pulled over. You have to come see Tasha. Bye, everybody.
Stay safe.